gentlemen, boys and or girls, this is Fantasy Football Harsh Reality. And it seems like this season is more about harsh reality than it is about fantasy football, because none of this is fantasy. This is all nightmare. This is so the 2020 version of fantasy football. It's unbelievable. Scott, how are you, buddy? I mean, it's unfathomable. And I said this. I said it before in my pre-draft show. And yes, I'm using a ring light today, and so you'll see it in my glasses, which unfortunately I have to wear the glasses so that I can see the stats and see your comments. And so those things are still. So you're going to see the ring light reflection in my glasses. For those of you listening to the audio podcast, consider that the upside to just listening to the audio. But I said it in my pre-draft special. I said it again in my Set Your Lineup Saturday show, that not having the preseason, not having full-speed preseason games is exactly what it would lead to injuries. Now, I didn't think it'd be quite. I thought after we got through week one, that was probably the worst of it. Things would begin to kind of even out after that. But apparently that was just the start. Apparently that was just scratching the surface of the injuries to come. This weekend was a catastrophe, but as a Dallas Cowboys fan, it was the greatest weekend in the history of football. What a comeback. Listen, I'm watching this. I'm watching this with two guys in one of my leagues, my buddies Scott Berman and John Mesh. And I'm watching the game. We got it on the FaceTime call, and we're watching the game. In the first half, I mean, we're just drowning in our beer. We're like, it's more of the same, more of the same. And then I was like, the second half came around. I said, guys, we got to change the energy. We got to put on new Cowboys hats. So I switched to this hat right here. And I was like, new hat, new energy. And what happened is I think we saw, this offense that everyone was talking about in the offseason, the 3,000-yard wide receiver offense with Dak Prescott going off, finally gelled. They finally found their chemistry. And when you talk about is the difference the coach, I read an article today, it was in Yahoo Sports, about the speech that Mike McCarthy gave the players at halftime, where he said, guys, this is where we need to be. This moment right here, where we go out and we find out what kind of men we are. And he gave them the kind of speech that I know Jason Garrett was incapable of delivering. And that is what caused them to go out there and find their feet and start turning it around into possibly one of the greatest comebacks in Cowboys football history, certainly in recent history, because usually, and I said this at the time, the breaks that we got, getting the onside kick, that's the stuff that works out for other teams. That is not the stuff that works out for the Cowboys. So having it finally go our way, I think, was a testament to good coaching, and how sometimes good coaching isn't just about X's and O's. It's about motivation. It's about getting into the soul of the players and getting them to give you the extra. And whereas I think Jason Garrett would have been like, all right, guys, let's go back out there and let's do our best. Whereas this guy, he made it a test of who they were as people. And I think that is the kind of difference that the Dallas Cowboys needed to turn this thing around. It was so exciting. And so first new hats. Then when it came to the onside kick, we're watching the games and we're like, shirts off, guys, shirts off. Because this is like an old thing that John and I had done. Whenever it's a big moment, we take the shirts off, and for some reason it works. And we took our shirts off, three, naked from the waist up idiots. Old men, like, and it worked. We're like, oh my God. And then when Zerline comes out, oh my God, I thought they had mismanaged the clock so bad, but they went up, they spiked the ball. I was like, okay, good. Now, again, shirts off, and what can I say? Shirts off energy, got the job done. The Cowboys won the game. And for me, that was the saving grace for the weekend. Because let's be honest, that's right, nation. It was incredibly wild. It was wild to see and to be a fan of the Cowboys, wanting to see this talent live up to this ability was what we've been waiting for this entire time. And we finally got it, and I think now it's going to be, and look, Rob Heskin's like, prove it. You want to see it, Rob? You want me to? It's not happening. I think I showed too much already. It's so gross, but that's what we were doing. I was shirtless, screaming, had the hat on, no shirt, going crazy. Thank God no one screen recorded that particular call, but that's what happened, Rob. That's right. We were all shirtless, fucking doing it. It was awesome. But the week itself, I mean, now, as I mentioned on Saturday, one of the things that I was tempted to do was to try and trade Derrick Henry for Saquon Barkley, because I was like, I feel like he's going to have this massive bounce back game, but, Derrick Henry traditionally has done pretty well against Jacksonville, so I wanted to keep him at least for this week, and thank God that I did. And even when it came to choosing first, I had been waffling between Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey. And again, as a McCaffrey manager, having him go down was devastating. But he'd already scored 2 touchdowns, so that was nice. And again, compared to Saquon Barkley, it actually turned out to be a pretty good deal, because Saquon Barkley is now gone for the season. So this is 2 seasons in a row that Saquon Barkley has, but this time it's season-ending injury. He's the new Dalvin Cook, apparently. And luckily McCaffrey is a high ankle sprain, which I wrote out last year with Saquon. So now we've got to ride it out for a few weeks, and hopefully they don't do. I felt like last week they brought Saquon back too soon. He really wasn't 100% when he came back. Whereas this time, so with McCaffrey, I want them to wait till he's really fully ready to come back. Now that being said, I'm one of those guys. And remember, a buddy in my league who's watching the show right now had offered me Kareem Hunt for Hollywood Brown, and I waited because I wanted to, and I probably should have taken that deal at that, and I knew it too. I was like, this is the kind of deal that's probably not going to be there on Monday. So, but on the upside, I still have him, but also I have Stephon Diggs, who I've been waiting to have that connection breakout game, and boom, did it happen, of course, versus Miami. Although I had the Bills defense, and I figured they were just going to have a field day with this Miami team and what looked like the absence of Fitzmagic. But in fact, the Miami Dolphins looked pretty good. They put up a hell of a fight, scored a bunch of points. This Gaskin guy continues to just ruin my life, because I was convinced that Breda was going to be the guy, and if not Breda, Jordan Howard. But no, it's this Gaskin guy. So Gaskin, so let's talk about some guys that, like, if you went out and got Malcolm Brown, did not turn out to be the touch leader. It somehow wound up being Darrell Henderson. I haven't gone back and watched the game yet. I guess Malcolm Brown injured his finger, it looks like, so maybe that's why he didn't get the touches. Cam Akers ended up getting hurt in the ribs. So listen, right now, if Hollywood Henderson or Darrell Henderson, they should call him Hollywood Henderson. Remember that guy? Anyway, but if Darrell Henderson is still Gerard, he's like, don't do shit. Brown was kind of whack. He didn't get it done, but looks like Henderson is now going to be the guy. He looked great. He's already, somebody already has him, I think, in both of my leagues. I couldn't believe that he was still out there. And I knew a lot of people were going to be picking him Malcolm Brown, but again, we saw this last year, and, when he had that big opening game with 2 touchdowns, and then they barely gave him the ball again the rest of the year, and deja vu, they fucking did it again. And the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. I said, now, don't get me wrong, and it was a great matchup, and because of that matchup, Aaron still had, not a horrific day, but I told you it wasn't going to be like it was last week, and now you got Devontae Adams, looks like he's going to be out, and so everyone's going to be rushing, and Gerard, this is great for you, because I know you have Marquez Scantling and the other guy, but the problem is this: those guys benefit from having the coverage one, their best cover guy, on wide receiver one. And that's what opens up their game. And a lot of times when that guy's gone, now that Devontae Adams is gone, and they're going to, Scanling or somebody else is going to have to take that coverage, you're going to see why they're not wide receiver ones, because they don't flourish. So consequently, Aaron Rodgers, I think his numbers are going to go down. I think they're going to try and make him force the ball. I think they're going to have great coverage on those 2 other guys. So let me see. Eric Seifert says he had Ryan, Hurst, Ridley, Lockett, Josh Brown, Dalvin Cook, Montgomery, and Koo. Was like Oprah giving away points to my, oh yeah, what a huge game. And I'm one of those guys that hasn't liked Matt Ryan as as a QB1, but so far he is off to a monstrous start. But again, Calvin Ridley has been benefiting from coverage one being on Julio Jones, and Julio Jones is now injured with a hammy. We'll see if he tries to play through it. But if Calvin Ridley has to get that, because he is definitely wide receiver one talent, though. He's not Marvin Scantling or the other guy that he is a true one. So I think his production will still be good, but I don't know if it's going to be quite as amazing as it was as it's been these last 2 weeks, because he really is that guy. And welcome David Montgomery to fantasy football. That guy, he finally had a great game. He finally had a big game, put up big points. I think he had like 16 points on the day. So, that was, for someone we've been waiting on for over a season to finally show up, that was actually very nice to see. You have Rivers as a backup QB, and I need Rodgers to do well. Yeah, and Rivers is one of those guys, much like Tom Brady, that I thought would have these great seasons. Now, here's the thing, and same with T.Y. Hilton. How T.Y. Hilton has continued to suck in this environment, I have no idea. But now Paris Campbell looks like he's gone for a while. He got injured too. So it looks like finally we may see some T.Y. Hilton action that we've been waiting for the last 2 weeks. I've been expecting it to happen, and it has not happened. Tyrod Taylor, what a weird... Here's what's weird. Tyrod Taylor, okay, he had some chest thing, and I guess they gave him a shot, and the shot, aggravated the injury, and so he was out. It's a chest injury, so they put in Herbert. Okay, Herbert looked fucking great. Okay, Herbert looked great, and then the coach goes out there and is like, yeah, but when Tyrod's ready, he's coming back. He's going to be our starter again. I'm like, did you not just see what just... Your team almost beat the Chiefs. You took them to overtime. The team of destiny, of dynasty, and you went and got John Mash, by the way, he said Ehrman is 0-2, which is Scott Berman has scored a bunch of points in losing games, and those seasons are the worst. And I've had that season where your team would have beaten every other team except for the one that you're playing against. And he's had that happen 2 weeks in a row now. And when you get into that cycle of everyone having their best game against you, it's just one of those seasons. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to stay that way, but yes, Danny McDermott, everyone is getting injured, and because of that, this thing is topsy-turvy. We thought COVID was going to be the big X factor, and I guess it has, because COVID is what created this by canceling. I knew when they said no preseason, I was like, no preseason? You need to go full speed against another team at least once and be in a situation where you could pull guys out after they've already gotten hit once or twice because the win isn't on the line. And I knew this was going to be dangerous, and it's destroying everything. It's killing everybody. So everybody's injured. Of course, the worst being Saquon Barkley. That's the real mess right there. We'll see if Jamison Crowder comes back this week. A.J. Brown has been out. Christian McCaffrey's out 3 to 4 weeks. And people keep talking about Duke Johnson, but he was out. I don't know why. And listen, I think if there's a lesson to be learned here is if your team, any of your players are going up against the Ravens, you probably want to pull them from your lineup. You probably want to just take them out, put somebody else in, because they're not going to do great against the Ravens. And Deshaun Watson, I said he was going to struggle because he doesn't have and he's struggled. He hasn't been anywhere near what you obviously drafted him to do. But I will say this. One of the things that I say, two of the quarterbacks I wanted so bad this year, Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray. They were the two guys I was targeting, and I didn't get them in either league. One league, Kyler was already a keeper, so I didn't have a shot at him that league. And in the other league, the stupid auto draft team grabbed him right in front of me. And then with Russell Wilson, again, it was always like 1 or 2 picks ahead of me. Somebody grabbed him, and I lost my opportunity. So in both my leagues, now luckily I got Cam Newton in one of them, and boy did he show up. And everybody in that league was saying, you should play Ben Roethlisberger. And I was like, let's see what Cam can do. And because you need a guy who can use his legs to get you running touchdowns, to get you those bonus points. That's where we're at as a league. It's tough to have a statuesque quarterback, although if you want one, it seems like the one that's working this season is Matt Ryan. Although if Julio Jones goes out, I know a lot of people are going to go out and get Gage because Gage has done well. But again, it reminds me, remember that guy Taylor, that really fast, shifty running wide receiver, and he would occasionally have a game with like 2 touchdowns and then games with like nothing. Which he reminds me of that. Russell Gage, I don't know that I trust him in any starting lineup because, again, he's going to be hot and cold. He's boom or bust. There's a lot going on. It's going to be very weird. Which, by the way, let's hand out a quick Blue Tarski Award. This week's Blue Tarski Award it goes to Will Fuller. And again, this is talking about this Ravens defense is the truth, man. Will Fuller received 0 targets. He pulled a 0.0. Oh my God, that is a Blutarski from Animal House if there ever was one. And there was another guy that pulled a Blutarski too. And I forgot who it was, but god damn. So Josh Allen, listen, Josh Allen is one of those guys that he's so... I've never trusted him, but he is just lighting it up. And finally, he got that connection going with, but boy, 49 points this week. Holy crap, almost 50 points. And of course, my man Dak. Dak was right behind him. Mostert is currently injured. And what did it say about Mostert? What was his injury? I think it was, let's look. Mostert, where are you, Mr. Mostert? He's a knee injury, I believe, but I think he just, like, dinged it. I don't think it's like he's out for the season injury. And, of course, right now I'm not seeing him. But it's not, I don't think it was one of those ones where, it's certainly not like a Barkley, where he's out for the season. I think he just dinged his knee a little bit. So he might be out like 1 week, but we'll see. I mean, obviously he's your player, and he's a guy I like. But consequently, I mean, there's a couple of waiver wire pickups that are monsters this week. Sprained knee. Thank you, Rob. It's a sprained knee. That's what it was. So, obviously, they're going to want to be a little careful with that. And listen, Jerick McKinnon, everybody's going to be looking to pick up Jerick McKinnon. But Jerick McKinnon, Nick Bosa out for the season. It's just, I'm telling you, it is so brutal what's happening on both sides of the ball. So, my father-in-law is watching, Doug Femmel. Good to see you, sir. Welcome to the show. Talking a little fantasy football. Do you do fantasy? Are you into, do you watch the games? Where was I with this? Anyways, Josh, the quarterback, he's been driving me nuts because Josh Allen been doing so. Dak Prescott had a huge game finally. Cam Newton was number 3, bringing in almost 40 points. But Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, those are the guys that I think all season long are going to be dominators. And it's so strange, this idea that you don't have to have one of these top quarterbacks. I mean, Matt Ryan right now is the guy that was the lower rung guy that's really performing. Patrick Mahomes, he still showed up with 35 points, but Matt Ryan put in 35 points. And listen, Gardner Minshew, he's been lighting it up pretty consistently. He's a great waiver wire pickup for this week. And Joe Burrow, can he keep up that level of production? Get in on the Joe Burrow train now. If you're satisfied with your lead quarterback, with your backup isn't that hot, go out and get Joe Burrow and put him on your bench. And I personally, I want to put Tua on the bench because I feel like once he takes over, then that's going to be incredible. But who knows when they're finally going to turn over, because stupid Ryan Fitzpatrick actually had a decent game against Buffalo. Again, it's a very good defense. So I was just like, my mind was just blown. I'm like, you idiot. I need you to suck. I want you to suck, so they'll put in Tua. Kyler's been smashing for me. Also fun as hell to watch. He really is. And I knew and listen, I had him in his rookie season, and when he had great games against San Francisco twice, I was like, this guy, he's the truth. And I wanted him so, and I couldn't get him in either league. I may have to make the trade. I may have to give him something good to get him. And that's the other thing. I mean, when you think about it, no other position on the field scores as many points as the quarterback. I don't know why everyone's always like, wait to get a quarterback. Wait, you want to wait. Although strangely, this week, Lamar Jackson, not that great of a week. Deshaun Watson, 2 not great weeks in a row. This week he only put up 15 points. But again, versus Baltimore, I told you not to start him. Trubisky floated right back down to earth with 15 points. Stafford, this is the one team that's winning with one of those guys that I hate. He's got Matt Stafford, who only gave him 14 points, but his team is doing so well. He's the example of the team that you build that they say, get all that team together and then you can wait on the quarterback. He's managed to pull that together. But again, it's week 2. We'll wait. I feel like he's been lucky with the injury bug, so we'll wait to see how that works out for him. Because Matt Stafford is not performing well. Mitch Trubisky's back down to where he thought he'd be. Now, let's talk about Baker Mayfield, because Baker Mayfield, this running game is really going. This running game is going. And Baker Mayfield started to kind of let it out. Granted, it was against the Bungles. And he still threw an interception when he absolutely didn't have to. So for me, the inconsistency is still there. There's still not enough control. I'm not crazy for the Baker Mayfield. I'm off the Baker Mayfield. Strangely, Jeff Driscoll did pretty well when he took over, and he put up 22 points almost in that game against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, that incredible defense, and Jeff Driscoll came in, and I think he had 3/4 of the game. But he managed to do a pretty good job. I don't trust him. I'm not picking him up. But it was one of those shocking moments. And again, someone who I said was going to be garbage, and he is, Carson Wentz, gave you 12 points. I told you don't start him. Not against Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald was up his ass all day. Although, to be honest, considering the fact that the Rams put up 37 points, and yet their quarter, Jared Goff, I mean, he had a decent day. He ended up putting up 27 points. So, listen, if they play, it's like the Browns. If only they could play the Bungles every single week. If only Jared Goff could play the Philadelphia Eagles every single week. It would be pretty amazing. Janelle, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome to the show. So, and I'll tell you also, another tight end that people aren't talking about right now, but they should be, is Gesicki. Gesicki had a monstrous day yesterday, again, against the Bills. But for me, I was so excited to see Stephon Diggs finally break out. And how about Leonard Fournette? Oh, my God. Ronald Jones fumbled one time, and Tom Brady was like, get out. Bring in Fournette. And Fournette went rumbling and bumbling. Listen, there's a guy in my league. We get $200 in free agency acquisition bucks, FOB, for the year. And I don't know if you guys do FOB for your waiver wire. I love it because it gives pretty much everybody an equal shot at everyone. It's an auction style, and so you live and die by your submissions, by your bids. He, week 1, put in $90 on Leonard Fournette, which week 1 looked like a pretty bad investment. But week 2 looked like it could be a season-winning investment for him. Leonard Fournette, and that's what I'm hoping opens up the passing game for Tom Brady. And again, oh my God, okay, all right, listen. I know I do a fantasy football show, and I like to act like I know what I'm talking about, because I do put a lot of thought into this, and I watch all the games, and I love the analysis. I get very excited. I put in Scotty Miller. Now, I knew I had picked up Sammy Watkins for free on the waiver wire, just in case, but of course he did the Sammy Watkins thing, which was suck a big dick. But I thought maybe because Tom Brady had gone out and said, this Scotty Miller guy, he's always where you want him to be. He's always in the right place. And that, I'm hearing Wes Welker. I'm hearing Julian Edelman, which, by the way, Julian Edelman, if you were waiting on, I know, Scotty Miller, thank you, Gerard, Scotty Miller, and Tampa's defense. I picked up Tampa's defense, and they actually killed it for me, and they're one of the reasons I ended up winning. But the other side of it, the Bills sucking, and then, my 2 running backs, Zeke did great, Nick Chubb did great, but then the wide receivers just fell apart. Jarvis Landry ate a dick, and then this Scotty Miller guy, and in my heart I was like, I really love Ruggs. I think Ruggs is going to but he's already dinged up in the knee, and you saw what they did in the second half, which is they didn't throw to him to protect him for the Raiders, which is what I thought Denver was going to do with Cortland Sutton. Remember I said Cortland Sutton, don't play him because they're going to try to protect him? Well, I was wrong. He ended up having a monster day. They didn't try and protect him at all, and guess what? He's out for the season. He got injured. They didn't try to protect him. He got injured, blew out the knee. He's done for the season. Oh, you traded Edelman. Well, that's it. Listen. But was that part of that trade for that running back? Did you say you needed an RB? Watkins got hit in the head, too, in protocol. Oh, so that's where Watkins went. Watkins was gone. He had a crap game. I knew he was going to, but that's what Watkins does. Watkins doesn't, consistency is not his thing. So it was between this Scotty Miller jackass and Ruggs. And I thought volume-wise, the advantage would be Scotty Miller. And I think he threw to him twice. He put up like 1.6 and absolutely just fucked my Sunday. Fuck you, Scotty Miller. I got a good big fuck you for you. Because you didn't get injured. You just sucked. Now, Gerard Cole says, how long does it take to recover from a concussion? Well, that's the thing. It's one of those things that there's a process, and a lot of times they're back the next week, but usually they miss 1 week. There's usually like 1 week out. I would say the average is 1 week. They think Watkins will be out for 3 weeks. Well, and that's usually kind of like that. It's kind of like worst case scenario. They always tell you the worst case scenario, just like doctors always do. Which they said that about Chris Godwin. When Godwin showed up on Wednesday with concussion symptoms, they were saying, oh, that's even worse. When he's fine for 2 days, then he could be out 3-4 weeks. And guess what? Today, 1 day too late, thank you, he cleared concussion protocol, so he'll be back. So I'm back on, I think now with that running game going with Fournette and having Rojo as come in for passing downs, I think that's going to really open up this passing game. And I think Tom Brady in week 3 begins to take that step, that become Tom Brady that we expected with these tools. Calvin Ridley, though, continues to dominate. Julian Edelman came back to life versus Seattle. That connection. And listen, Cam Newton's zipping the ball. Did you guys see the velocity? I mean, talk about throwing it on a wire. Like, it's so the antithesis of what we're seeing out of Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is throwing these beautiful, arcing, teardrop touchdowns. These beautiful. Cam Newton's throwing the exact opposite. These laser beams. I mean, the velocity, the straightness, it's impressive, man. It is impressive to watch the way, the power he's putting on these balls. So, also, oh my God, talk about, it is the week of Tyler. Okay, so Tyler Higbee. Okay, so one of the guys in our league drafted him like super early, like round 3. He drafted Tyler Higbee, and boy, did we give him shit about that. We gave him so much shit about drafting Tyler Higbee in the 3rd round. And then this week, 3 fucking touchdowns. And guess who was on this guy's bench? Tyler Higbee! So, of course, every time he scored, we were like on the chat, like, Higbee! Not because we were so excited, but because we knew every single one of them was just turning his stomach. Just making one. But listen, I didn't do any better. I had Stephon Diggs. I had him on my bench, and he put up 31 points, had a monster, 8 receptions, 13 targets, 153 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 was a 40-plus yarder bonus. So, I mean, that was just monstrous, and not having him in there. I didn't need him to win the game. Luckily, that team is holding together. James Conner came back, and I think he's Benny Snell. If they said there was going to be like a 1A, 1B situation with him and Benny Snell, but that did not materialize. But Denver is a very, very good defense, and I feel like they just shut Benny Snell down. What do you think about Ingram on the Ravens? I said Ingram was gonna be back as the main guy. He was gonna take it back over, and sure enough, he did. He was the main running back once again. Although J.K. Dobbins, he had a few plays, he looked pretty good, but really it was Mark Ingram was the RB1. Clearly, I think you and week 2 killed it. Should I be starting him? Well, that's the thing. I think he's back, and I think you can start him. I don't think that, you want to, hopefully, he's your RB2 on your team, but I know, Higbee, right? Oh, my God. You got that Higbee shit. You know that drove him crazy. But I think Mark Ingram is back, and I think he's a safe play week in and week out. I think he's back to being the RB1 in that offense. Jordan Reed, here's a guy, fuck this guy. I mean, you know why? Because the guy I was playing against picked him up off the wire, played him against me, and he fucking had, 7 catches, 2 touchdowns. Oh my God, he murdered me. But being Jordan Reed, everybody's going to pick him up this week, and he's definitely getting injured next week. I'm sorry, that is what Jordan Reed does. There's no way he isn't catching the injury bug. Now, one of the guys I really like this week, Jonathan Taylor, totally delivered 20 points, 101 yards, 1 touchdown. That's solid. Zeke Elliott, he looked great again. 22 touches, 89 yards, and a touchdown. DK Metcalf, this is another one of these guys that I really loved going into this season and couldn't get because both, you know what I mean? Because I was at the front end of both my drafts, so there were some of those guys that just didn't time out right, and DK Metcalf was one of those guys. Another great day, 4 receptions on 6 targets, 92 yards and a touchdown. And again, now here's a guy I didn't believe in, but he's clearly become a volume play, and that's Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson, 8 receptions, 92 yards, a touchdown. I mean, I didn't believe in him. I believe in him now. I think he's going to be a big key. I think he helps open up Juju's success, which Juju ended up having a decent, there we go, a decent set of, a decent day. He ended up having 100 yards too. Let's see if we can find my man Juju. Where are you, Juju? Boop. I'm going to have to go to my team. But he ended up having a decent day. There we go. Oh, no, actually, he did have 7 receptions, but for only 48 yards. So he only put up 8.3 points. So you can see right there that, yes, Deontay Johnson's definitely benefiting the most from Big Ben being back. I thought Juju was going to have this big blow, exciting game, although I thought he had 100 yards, but I guess I'm thinking of last week. So this week, not so great. Oh, I'm thinking of Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. Amari Cooper had 100 yards, but CeeDee Lamb also, let me see, CeeDee ended up having 106 yards, and I believe he had a touchdown. But he had no touchdown, but he had 106 yards. So both of those guys ended up having good days, and I've got both of those guys. But Juju, unfortunately, didn't live up to expectation because Deontay Johnson looks like he's for real. You picked up McKinnon last week to be safe. What do you think of San Francisco? Listen. Play Jerick McKinnon until he gets hurt. He's like Jordan Reed. These guys get hurt all the time. They're going to get hurt again. They're absolutely going to, but play them until they get hurt. I said the same thing about A.J. Green. I'm saying this, there's another guy that I keep saying it about that I'm like, just play him until he gets hurt because he's definitely good. Jordan Reed is one of the, there's some guys that you know they're going to get hurt, so play them until they do. One of the guys that I picked up that I was I wanted to see what happened, James Robinson down in Jacksonville. I didn't play him because he was up against Tennessee, and Tennessee is, ostensibly a great defense. And didn't they pick up Clowney too? Like they added Clowney? So I expected them to really shut down Jacksonville, but instead James Robinson had a great day, 102 yards, 16 touches and a touchdown. He also had 3 receptions for 18 yards on 4 targets. So 21.5 points. That's a great day for James Robinson. So for me, losing Christian McCaffrey, I can put in James Robinson, but I'm running out of bodies. But luckily, I have great wide receivers. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. I may have to trade Stephon Diggs or CeeDee Lamb or Marquise Brown. One of those guys I may have to trade for a running back this week. I'm looking at you, nation. Which one of them do you want? So there's a lot, there was a lot that happened. So you want to get Gesicki, but this is the season that we've got, guys. This is the season that we've got. Tonight, I didn't play Drew Brees. I went with Cam Newton instead. Thank you. Because I don't think that Drew Brees is going to have a monster game tonight. Because again, Will Fuller, the next week could be a much better game. Again, be careful about whoever you have going against this Ravens defense, because this Ravens defense is phenomenal. They're just shutting whole teams down. David Johnson couldn't do shit. And I kept him in there because, you know, he has the potential for PPR stuff. And that's the thing. Someone needs to tell Deshaun Watson he doesn't have to do everything himself. Not every play needs to save the day. He can check down. He can check it down to David Johnson. Now that's the thing. The beneficiaries are clearly the tight ends. And those are some other guys aside from Gesicki. If you need tight end help, you might want to go out and look at Fells. And even Akins did pretty good. But Darren Fells seems to be like he's going to be a major part of this passing offense because he's the check down guy. But I wish he'd gone to David Johnson just a little bit more. But David Johnson, it looked like, had to stay there and he had to come in and block because that Ravens defense is just that good. Let's go back to our leaders. Oh, yeah, so this Gage kid, I don't know. If you play him, that's on you. And a guy that I said that I like, that I think is going to be coming up on these guys, and that's Josh Kelly. Josh Kelly, he had 23 touches for 64 yards. And listen, those were tough sledding yards. They gave him the harder. Now, don't get me wrong, Eckler still looked very, very good. But those kind of touches, wow, I think Josh Kelly looks great. He's a guy, I think if you can get him now, hold on to him. I think he's going to wind up having a very, very good season. Brandon Cooks finally started to come alive a little bit last night. They were trying to force the ball, but he did have 8 targets, 5 receptions, 95 yards. Not the worst day in the world. A lot of people started Antonio Gibson. I didn't believe in this guy, but he didn't have the worst day in the world against Arizona. He did have 13 attempts, 55 yards, though, but he did grab that touchdown. Mike Davis. This is the guy a lot of people are going to go out and get because he got to replace Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to have to try and get him, too. So we'll see what happens with that. Listen, I've already got my IR spots filled with injuries already. I'm going to have to release somebody from IR to put Christian McCaffrey on IR. It's probably going to be, I was one of those idiots that went out and got Raquel Armstead because They'd said he was the new top of the depth chart, so I thought he was going to be this power back. And again, without the benefit of preseason, of getting any kind of a look at these guys, we had to just go with the news reports, and it turns out he ain't doing shit even if he comes back. But I have James Robinson, let Raquel go, put Christian McCaffrey, and I got to try and find somebody to fill his place. Although with all likelihood, it's going to be James Robinson in a decent matchup against a surprisingly good Miami defense on Thursday night. Guys, what are we going to do? Well, listen, follow the podcast on Apple Podcasts or on SoundCloud, Fantasy Football, Harsh Reality. And listen, enjoy Monday Night Football. Let's go enjoy Monday Night Football, and hopefully not everybody gets injured in that game too. All right, guys, take care, and I'll see you on Wednesday for the Week 3 preview.